What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Talk Much. This is Zach.
Back.
This is me, Brian. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody is well. So,
Episode 2.
I know it's
crazy.
crazy.
I feel like we had good feedback on the first episode.
Yeah, for sure.
People reached out.
For
really,
sure.
Really happy with how it went. What do you think about starting off with another story, Brian? Story time.
I like it. The question is, which one?
We got the camping one. We got the planking one. We got the singing in the car one. I think we should roll with that.
I think that's the go-to is our singing. Yeah.
At least at the time we thought it was a winner. Looking back on it, it's kind of a little embarrassing, but I mean, I feel
we again starting the story off, a lot of the stories that we have, guys, were us from being younger gentlemen in the world.
Homeschooled. We're weird.
Oh yeah,
and we're weird because we're homeschooled.
Exactly, we were homeschooled. A little bit more about us.
I blame a lot of my problems on that.
Yeah. So we were quote unquote antisocial, if you want to say that, but we had a lot of fun with that too, because then we could just be awkward. And we had fun.
And if anyone ever asked this, it was just like, I'm sorry, I'm homeschooled.
Right. We had an alibi. We had an excuse. So, again, a lot of the stories will take place in probably the Mustang, because that's most of what we did. Like, was drive around and do
Brian
stupid
had
stuff.
A Mustang. Was it a convertible? No, it wasn't a convertible.
No, it wasn't a convertible. It was an old 1999. Yeah.
You had bought that car and put an engine in it yourself.
Yep. So I bought the car when I was. I mean, I bought it when I was young. Okay, I bought it when I was like.
Conversation with Brian went, "Oh, cool, you have a Mustang. Oh, cool, you put a motor in it. Which one? Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Could have had the V8.
I built it up I basically bought a body when I was 14 and just put a bunch of money into it and built it up and had fun with it. And Zach to this day makes fun of me for putting a V6 instead of a V8.
I think Brian makes fun of himself in his head about.
But I do. But at the same time, I get why I did it, because I was 16. I didn't want to die in a V8.
You only live once. You're fine.
YOLO.
But he had that car. I had my RSX, and I think we went around in your Mustang, so it was definitely cooler. Yeah. And it made this story a little bit more embarrassing.
It had an exhaust. It had tints. It looked nice.
Yeah. And we decided one day that we were going to go through the great town of New Milford. And we were going to sing to people on the street.
Yes.
Particularly any girl that was about our age.
Yeah, and needless to say, we don't have great voices either.
In our heads, why did we think that was a great idea? Like, let's just go up to girls and sing to them.
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure. And I think it kind of sparked off with like the whole, like, those, I don't know, those, like, you know, those flash mobs. We were trying to start one, but like, it was kind of a thing then. But like, I think it was more just us being bored and being like,
and just to preface, what can we do? Not on any drugs of any kind. Like, this was like
sober.
A totally sober thought. We thought this was a great idea. I think it was
just us being like, hey, like, our personalities of like, hey, let's be a little bit crazy and let's just have some fun. This is the first thing that popped into our head, and it was like a weekend. Yeah, just a weekend, and we were like, let's get in the car, and we were driving around, and we rolled down the windows. It was like summertime. I started blaring music. The music choices, though.
Tell people the choices of music that we.
Yes.
Okay, picture this. 2 18-year-olds roll up to you. You're walking along the sidewalk. You're like, oh man, they're in a cool car. Wonder what's about to happen. Window rolls down, and out pops one of us singing.
Call Me Maybe.
Or One Direction.
Or any One Direction song. Or
mind you, we never listened to this music. We just thought it was really funny to try and sing it to random people, because it might have been an internet thing at the time, and we just tried to jump on it. I feel like there was something to this.
That Call Me Maybe song, it started to get big, and it started to, like, they had like a bunch of YouTube videos of them, like, people like dancing to it and like acting to it and stuff. So I think we were just kind of like,
I think we just had this idea, and it seemed really cool in our head, and I think it wasn't as much like going for like, oh, people will like it, but like people will like sing along and find it funny. Right. I think that was more along the lines
that was the thought process, but like, there were great successes with this, but then there were also epic fails.
We got a couple people to sing along with us.
A couple people joined in, a couple people took pictures, a couple people took videos. If you have a video, please, and you didn't know this was us.
Gosh,
dude,
could you imagine if someone
if you have a video
10 years later?
Oh my gosh, please!
And has a video
if you have a video, please go ahead and tag us. That'd be awesome. I would freak out.
I would pay good money to have one of those videos. Not gonna lie,
I would probably freak out.
But no, it was like a mixed bag because like some people thought it was really funny and unique and cool, and some people were like, I need to call the police or get my pepper spray ready. Like it was really like no in between. Like either people were horrified and embarrassed for us or scared of us, or they thought it was really funny.
Exactly.
There was no middle ground.
It was one of those toss-ups where like it wasn't even like people our age liked it or didn't like it, or like people like older, like the older generations didn't like it or liked it. It was literally just a toss-up, as if you liked it or not.
Yeah,
which was cool. But
I thought that was clearly not one of our worst stories. We'll get into some of our more embarrassing stories. But we're gonna stick with that for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit more about us. That kind of explains why we are today.
Our craziness.
So, do you want to just kind of go over some of the topics for today?
Sure. Yeah. So we have a couple ideas, guys. We have some ideas on the docket. We can talk a little bit about the new stuff in Warzone because, as you know, Zach and I, this is one of our big games we like to play together, and we'll be streaming and stuff like that. And big new season update. Also to some different sports topics because we are kind of in the middle of the sports seasons and the ending of sports seasons as well. The Yankees
playing better.
A little bit of hockey. Who knows? Basketball is not really a thing for us, so we're not going to talk about that. But like other sports definitely popping up. What else we got?
The Jake Paul fight.
Jake Paul fight. Yes, that was a very interesting fight
for YouTubers and fighters everywhere.
Yes,
and super cool.
Definitely very interesting experience for sure.
So yeah, I think that's on the docket. You want to
let's get into it.
Jake Paul fight?
Let's do it.
All right, folks. This Jake Paul fight, like, can we just talk about it? Like, seriously.
Kind of blew my mind.
Think about this, right? A kid who picked up a camera and started recording himself and got like internet fame is on the cover of like ESPN as he knocks out another fighter. Like,
and needless to say, very quickly as well.
Yeah, and I'm kind of on the fence with the whole like Jake Paul. I like Logan Paul a little bit better just because he seems like he's more normal and down to earth. But I also feel like Jake Paul has found a great niche as the villain. His like I don't care if you like me, screw you. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna be the best fighter. And so far, like no one's beat him.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And I don't know if that's just for clout, if that's just for show that this is happening.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I know that the first time he knocked out, he won the fight, and everyone was like, "Oh man, he didn't fight a real fighter. He fought an NBA star." And then this Askren guy was like, "Hey, I'll fight you. I think he was ex UFC, and he was. I know he was an Olympian.
Yep.
And Jake Paul the dude's training like a monster.
He trains. I've watched his videos on training schedules and stuff, dude. The guy, that's one thing. He's dedicated. He sticks to it,
and he's good.
He's good.
You can't take that away from him. I know everyone wants to make it seem like just a YouTuber or whatever, but the kid's good at fighting.
Exactly.
And now I think he's won 3 fights in total. He's 3-0.
Yeah,
and he sold out like
by knockout.
Yeah, ridiculous. And the views on that, like the pay-per-views were ridiculous. He made a ton of money. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of like hats off to him. He's just killing it right now.
I respect him for it.
Yeah, I can't say I was ever a huge Jake Paul fan, but I feel like the more I watch him fight, the more I'm like rooting for him. Like he came out and I was kind of just rooting for him in that fight.
Yeah.
And I know his brother is going to fight Mayweather. I'm not sure when that's going to happen.
Right.
I know that,
but that's going to be an interesting fight for sure.
That'll be a hard one. I think that's going to be. But I also think like you can't underestimate him. Like these kids, both of them, they're good fighters.
Yeah, and they train. They work hard. They've got great coaches. And it's
their life. They're like dedicated to it. Like they want to be the best. And that's the kind of mentality you have to have in any sport. If you want to be the best, you have to have that mentality of I'm not going to sleep until I'm the best.
Exactly.
So just super, super mad props to them. Just killing it out there.
Yeah, no, I respect them for it, like, because it's something that like they're stepping out of what they're quote unquote known for.
Yeah.
And training and working at something different to, like you said, to be the best.
And I mean,
and they're applying
like,
themselves to it.
Like, you know this, right? You're a personal trainer. I work out a lot. Like, it's not easy. It's a grind. And to get in their shape, I mean, their training, their diet, everything about their life has to be so strict to be in the kind of the fighting shape that they're in. Like, I couldn't do it. I'm sure you couldn't do it.
No.
Just
and
so much
boxing, fighting, any of that stuff is not an easy sport. Your body takes a pounding from the actual sport, but then it takes a pounding from the training. Like the amount of training you
take those shots is not easy.
Ridiculous. No.
Anyone, I hear this a lot. People are like, "Oh man, I could jump in the ring and fight him," and it's like, "You really could you?" Like a lot of people that spout off about this stuff have never actually taken a punch. It's like there's something different between sitting on your couch with your Cheetos thinking, "Oh, I could fight that guy. He doesn't look in great shape," to actually standing in front of him with a right uppercut coming at you, like, and to be able to absorb that and keep fighting. Like, there's a lot more to it.
That's true. Yeah. Like, and you kind of have to like decide, like, could you do it? I don't think I couldn't. I know I couldn't. I would never challenge anybody to it.
No, but at the same time, I feel like I've now become a big fan of the both of them when it comes to fighting. Like, I'm rooting for them across the board. I like the underdog. I like that people keep writing them off. I like how they approach it. I definitely am becoming a fan.
Yeah, 100%. For sure.
I was really excited. That was a crazy fight. I mean, he knocked him out, and everyone was like, "Oh man, it's staged," because he, he got up and kind of walked around a little bit. That dude was not all there.
No, you can tell, like, the clips. You can tell he's not. He's not fully there after that fight.
That ref was 100% looking out for that dude and stopping that fight, because he was. It would have gotten real brutal from there. If he let him take another punch, it would have been it could have been some serious damage.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Definitely pretty cool, man. Again, super props to those kids, man. They took internet fame, and instead of just kind of riding it out and just like, okay, this is what we're doing, they used it as like a springboard onto just a crazy amount of stuff. I know Logan Paul is doing like NFTs, and he's all into the Pokemon cards and selling them for tons of money, and he's so ahead of the curve on all this stuff, and it's just really impressive to me. Like, really, really cool what they've been able to do.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the next fight. I know Logan's fighting Mayweather. Don't know if Jake Paul's gonna have another, or when Jake Paul's gonna have another fight. I'm sure it'll be probably at some point this year, maybe next year. But I'll be tuning in.
Oh, for 100%. I'll definitely be watching it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That was something that was crazy. Anyone have any thoughts on the fight? Drop us comments. Just
let us know for sure
what you thought of it. Love them or hate them. They're making moves.
And we'll take both sides. We'll take people that think it was great, or people that
I mean,
have different opinions. Like, hey, let's hear it.
I mean, again, they're you're allowed to hate them. That's kind of I feel like most people do, and I feel like that's kind of what's fueling the popularity of this, is how much hate they have and how much people want them to fail. But man, those guys don't lose.
No.
So crazy.
For sure.
So, all right, you want to talk some Warzone?
Yeah, let's get into it. New season update. All right, so the new season of Warzone did hit this past week. Season 3 of the Cold War, Modern Warfare integration. So, initial thoughts.
Let's just go over how they did it, right?
Yes.
Their idea behind it was,
yes,
all right, guys, we're going to have this massive update at 3 p.m. Everyone tune in. And the massive update was basically just the map. The nuke came in, right? Like, there was the weird zombie thing going on. The nuke came in. Then everything went dark, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's happening? Oh, this is the end of Verdansk and all this stuff." And then, what is it, like 9 o'clock, or when did they? It was like 6 o'clock. They dropped.
So they dropped it in like
Rebirth.
segments, which was a
Yeah,
little
so then,
weird.
like, Rebirth was
Which I'm
part
like,
2.
okay, like this is kind of cool. This is different.
Yeah.
And I went ahead and I typically don't stream during the day. That's kind of my stream schedule. But I was like, hey, it's a new season update. I was able to stream the last season update, and I was like, let me go ahead and stream it. So I streamed it, and I'm sitting there.
Brutal for streamers because like
brutal because
they expanded over 2 days.
The server queues drove me nuts.
Yeah.
To sit there and have to reload the game, just trying to get into a server just to be able to play. Like, and I get, and I will back up Activision on this. I get you have a lot of people that play Warzone.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people, so the servers to handle that.
I don't feel like I blame them for any server issues when you have a big game like that and you have just this massive influx of people that are all there. What I blame them for was how they did it. Like they tried to basically they tried to say, hey, we have this new season. We're getting everyone excited for all these updates.
And they've been talking about it forever.
Storyline, right? We want to build a storyline where you've got Verdansk exploding. You got then part 2 was everyone go to Rebirth Island and find these clues. And it was like, oh man, you know, you can see Verdansk exploding in the background and all these clues for like what we're going to be doing next. And then what was it? Everyone played Rebirth the next day. And if you survived the game, you got taken to the new Verdansk, which is actually old Verdansk,
right?
Kind of in a really weird way, where they kind of like took shortcuts, and they didn't really change everything. Like I know people are saying the cars are the same, they're like modern cars, modern
the cars are all the same. And like I feel like they could have done better with that. And I was like, all right, like I get the storyline, I like that, that's cool.
Yeah.
And they've been promising new map. We're going to nuke Verdansk. We're going to nuke it. We're going to nuke it. We're going to do this. I'm like, all right, cool. That's awesome. So I was like, hey, I want to stream it because I want to have some good content and I know it's going to be fun. So like when I did it and all of a sudden.
Technically, they did nuke Verdansk. And technically, you know, I mean, like, but I mean, I guess when you say, hey, we're going to nuke Verdansk, people don't want to hear. And then we're going to bring you 40 years in the past.
We're going to bring back to 1984 during Cold War.
Verdansk.
Yeah. And like, I get it. And there are aspects to the map that are different.
Yeah,
there are areas that are different, and then everything looks different. You know, it's not run down. It's not, you know.
So what someone was explaining to me is that the movement is Cold War movement.
It is. It looks a lot like Cold War, and they did up the graphics a little bit.
Oh, it looks nicer.
And the graphics look a lot better. And I'm like, all right, cool. The colors are great.
And they weapon balanced really well. I will give them props for that. Right now, there really isn't anything besides maybe that new PSH assault
which gun. That might be I haven't used, so I haven't seen, so I'm not really sure yet.
Hair overpowered, but not like the Mac 10 when it first dropped, where it was just the only gun you could use. And if you didn't have one, you were getting taken to a back alley and just beaten with a stick.
Right.
But they dropped a new sniper. It wasn't very good. They buffed the Farah, which is now kind of what everyone's using. They nerfed the snot out of the FFAR, which was great to hear.
Which is awesome.
They nerfed the Mac 10 with a really interesting nerf because they knocked it down 1 damage point, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but I guess it takes it from like a 6-shot to a 7-shot to kill, so it actually affects the gun.
So it does. That's why I appreciate they are kind of listening, quote unquote.
Yeah, they nerfed the AUG and the M16.
Yeah, they are trying to make the game better and more user friendly.
Yeah, and right now I don't know if I could sit and say that there's one overpowered gun. I know people are trying to use the Farah, but it's still not great. I don't know if there's any one gun.
We haven't really found the attachments and such to make it super balanced. You know,
I don't know if I would. I just don't know if I'd sit there and say there's one gun that's overpowered right now. They nerfed FFAR,
and I've been watching
so many different guns.
Yeah, and I've been watching the big streamers and the big TikTokers out there and about Warzone and stuff like that, and people are saying, "Oh, there's 7 new metas." Okay, you can't have 7 new metas.
Is perfect. That's what we want.
That's the thing.
Like, we want 7 different guns you can use that are all like usable.
You know, they're all balanced. That's what that means. It's not a new meta. It's that they took the guns and they said, hey, we're going to make an even playing field.
That's all we wanted.
And that's what we wanted, because as users, as streamers, as gamers, it gets frustrating when you're constantly dying to over and over the AUG, the DMR, the Kilo, the snake shot pistols, whatever it might be, the fire shotgun. You know, those guns are still good.
Yeah, I think that the Kilo was one of the reasons why I come back to the Kilo being the best meta was because I thought it was the most even meta in the game, and
Yeah.
that the kilo was good, but it wasn't so overpowering that like people had different kilo builds
Yes.
and people used it in different ways, but there was other guns that were almost as competitive as the kilo. The kilo
Mhm.
had a slight advantage, so it was clearly the
Yep.
best, but it wasn't like the DMR where it was just the best by like this margin. The kilo
Right.
was the best by like this margin, which meant that there were other guns you could use that were viable.
Right.
And I think that's why it was
And
my
if you
favorite meta.
and if you got the jump on somebody, you could get somebody that was using a
Yeah.
kilo.
Yeah. And I feel like that's
You
kind
know?
of, we're almost at that point, but at a better place now with weapons. I feel like
Yeah.
weapons are pretty even. I
Yeah.
think they're going to nerf this new submachine gun pretty soon because
Yeah.
it's new and it's just a little overpowered. But I mean, I was playing last night and I got killed by someone using a Bison.
Mm-hmm.
I got killed by someone using a Grau. I got killed by someone using a CRX AMAX. There was someone using a Ram 7. Like
Yeah,
there were
and
so many different guns.
some of the guns that were like good in the bet in the quote unquote old days, they're coming back.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to see because like you know me, I like the MP7. The MP7 is back.
I'm using the MP5 and a kilo right now.
Yeah, people are back to using those guns. You know, the HDRs are coming back. You know, those are becoming viable weapons again, where it's not like people are trying to quick
I
scope
still
anymore.
feel like
It's not
the
multiplayer.
R98
You
is kind
know,
of the king of snipers.
it is, and I still run the
really just
Car98.
kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see a whole lot of other stuff, but some people are using a Pellington build.
Yep,
People are
Pellingtons.
using, they're bringing back the X50. I saw one of those recently.
Yep, yep.
But I just feel like Warzone, weapon wise, is at a really good place.
Yeah.
I don't know if I love the new Verdansk.
Yeah, there's aspects to it that I like.
I don't like that they added a lot of different heights now, where if you climb up the scaffolding, you can snipe someone from like 500 meters away, and there's really no. There's no cover.
I feel like the new map kind of adds a new aspect to the game.
Yeah.
Because where in the past you could kind of be like, all right, I know there's going to be somebody camping this roof. I know there's somebody most likely going to be around this corner. With this, it's kind of like everybody's kind of getting used to it, and they haven't maybe found the spots where they're easy to find.
And that's good for COD.
But that's good.
Basically, we'd be doing the same thing if they dropped a new map. So I can't complain about having to learn the new parts of this map.
It's made people think. It's made people actually try to play the game and actually try to get better at the game than just hold a corner or hit Superstore and hold the upper room in Superstore.
Yeah. I definitely feel like there's some good, some bad. I feel like people were disappointed when it first dropped because they were like, I wanted a new map. You know, you've been teasing us a new map forever and you give us a reason.
Yeah.
And
even
stuff,
I even got a little frustrated because I was like, oh, I'm expecting like a totally new map, like something completely different that COD's going to put out and be like, oh, like it's going to be this, this, and this. It's going to be different part of the world, this, that, whatever it might be. And I got a little frustrated. And then I started to play the new map and I was like, it's not bad.
So I have a couple of thoughts. One, I don't hate the new the reskin map as much as I did. It's kind of growing on me. Two, absolutely love the weapon balancing. I feel like right now we're at a really good point. You know, if they nerf that new submachine gun, I feel like it's kind of perfect. Like just leave it. Don't do anything else. Everything is viable.
And we'll see when there's a new update.
I don't know what happened, but there's a billion hackers in the game right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
100%. Like, I don't know 100%. If it's just because of the new update, but like terrible.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, and I've noticed playing first-person shooters, end of seasons, beginning of seasons, it tends to get a little bit dicey because I even noticed that with Apex when I play Apex, is they're ending their season, and there's more hackers in that game now, and Apex has an anti-cheat, but there's still ways, and Warzone doesn't. So there's ways to get around them, and they become a little bit more prevalent, yes. But I've noticed in the beginning of new maps and ends of new maps or seasons, there will be a little bit of weird hackers.
Yeah.
Because they're seeing what they can get away with and what they can't get away with.
Yeah. And there's obviously this new influx of people. So there's, this incredible amount of people going to the game. And so you're going to have wicked hackers. But I definitely feel like in the 3 days I've played so far of it, on separate occasions, I would say of the 8 matches I've played, 4 of them had hackers in it, where I died to someone that just shot me through a wall, and I'm just going, like,
And I do think
at this point now,
and I do think that there are some things that need to be fixed, like any game. It seems to be that you can shoot people through almost any wall, like you said.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I get it. Like that's just part of the game. but like there are some weird little things that like if you know where somebody is, you can headshot them through a wall.
But you should know where someone is without like wall hacks or things like that. Like if
Right.
someone throws one of those
Snapshot grenades.
snapshot grenades, I'm fine.
Yeah.
If someone kills me like that,
Yeah.
more power to you.
You
Great
know,
play.
or if they have a
someone shoots me through a wall,
UAV, or if they have
and
a heartbeat, that's different. That's a
if someone
different
shoots
thing.
me through a wall because they're just trying to shoot through a wall and they hear me, I'm also cool with that. It's when
Right.
someone locks on my head through a wall and they don't miss a shot, then I'm a little suspect. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Right.
Like if you're just
Exactly.
spraying the wall and you hit me and you kill me that way, whatever. You know,
Right.
that's a good player. Good players try and shoot through walls that they know someone's kind of around them.
Right.
But like the hackers are the ones that like, you know, all of a sudden they're looking this way and then they just snap onto my head through a wall and I'm dead, you know, and that
Right.
kind of pisses me off because
Right.
that's not really a fair fight.
Exactly. You know,
So,
and I get
think
that, you know.
overall, season 3, really excited. Can't
Mhm.
wait to play more. I don't know what gun
Yeah.
I'm going to use yet.
And that's the thing. I've played it multiple times. I'm like, I don't know what to use. You know,
I think that's good,
like
though.
it's
If you don't know what to use, that means that there's nothing that's overpowered.
exactly. And I kind of like that because you can kind of sit here and go, I don't know what to use, so I'm going to try different guns. I'm going to try
Yeah.
different loadouts and see what works. And I'm always a big believer in saying like, I don't like loadout videos. I don't giving people loadouts because what works for you might not necessarily work for me. You know, and what works on my Xbox might not work great on your PC or your PS4.
Totally agree.
Because it's totally different. Because you can control recoil better, or what type of controller you have. If you have a Scuff versus an Xbox Elite, or like I said, PC versus a controller. Like there's very different things that you can't really.
But I feel like that just shows that we're at a great place in the game right now, where
exactly
everyone can use something different depending on your build, your setup, everything, and be viable if you hit your shots. That's really what COD comes down to.
Yeah.
It should be,
and that's what COD used to be, and that's what COD used to be.
Yeah,
and I'm glad they've kind of went back to that and kind of said that they are going back to is if you can hit your shots, you will get it down, you will get a kill.
That's all that matters.
And that's what the first person shooter game should be.
Exactly, totally agree.
You know.
All right, you ready to talk about some sports?
Let's do it. Sport time.
Sports.
Good old sports. What Zach and I love.
Oh, this is what made us friends.
This is the whole sport thing is what we like bonded over. And this is what
we both played baseball. Both love the Yankees.
Yeah.
Both
speaking of the Yankees.
Oh, it was a rough month, but they got through it.
It was a rough start. Yes. For
But
sure.
They went from 5-10 to 9-11.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit of a turnaround.
Yeah.
They're winning today.
And they are projected to do extremely well this year because I think they do have the talent.
And what worried me was in the past, the Yankees' rotation was their undoing. They didn't have good enough pitchers. Their pitchers are on fire right now, so they just haven't been able to hit. Mm-hmm. Hitting always comes over time. The Yankees are a hot and cold team. They'll get their hitting figured out. They got enough talent to be able to hit. It's just the pitching, and that's why I'm not worried.
And they've always struggled with pitching.
Always. Ever since we I remember when we signed AJ Burnett after he just torched us for years in Toronto, and they were like, "This is the guy. He's gonna be, a 21."
He's gonna be the turnaround pitcher. We're gonna build.
We're gonna put him behind CC Sabathia, and we're gonna win a World Series. Never happened.
And it never happened because and I think you agree with me with this. They breed talent. They do
hitting talent, not pitching.
Hitting talent. You think of through
the
the years of the players that, especially like we grew up with, the Jorge Posadas, the Derek Jeters, the
Robinson Cano,
Bernie Williams, all these guys that were homegrown, Tina Martinez, the guys that were
homegrown guy,
Brett Gardner, these guys that were homegrown, amazing talent. And they can build the base. They hit well. They've always fielded well. They've always run the bases well.
Cano was not a great base runner, but we won't talk about that.
Base running's a little but they've been decent. They can survive with it. It's not like they're blowing people out of the water with it. But I think it is they've always built the talent, but they've always tried to rely on 1 to 4 players.
I think that's fair.
When you think about it,
tried to say, "Oh, we have this problem in this area. Let's sign another superstar, and that'll make our pitching better." And it's like, no, signing an outfielder doesn't make your pitching better.
Right.
signing, a starting pitcher doesn't make your bullpen better. And you can't always just go out and throw big money at these problems. Sometimes you actually have to develop your own players. And I feel like looking back on it, you had Phil Hughes, you had Java Chamberlain, you had Ian Kennedy, you had some of these really talented young pitchers that the Yankees just didn't develop well. And I think that's one of the reasons why they didn't win.
And you look at those pitchers too, because there's some players that they built, quote unquote, and then traded or didn't re-sign. And then you look at them down the road, they go to another team and then they blossom.
Ian Kennedy was a 21 pitcher. We traded him away. We traded him for that outfielder from Arizona. Or no, from Detroit. We traded him from the outfielder from Detroit. And he went to Kennedy went to Arizona, won 20 games one year, I think. Phil Hughes went to Minnesota, 20-win pitcher, couldn't pitch to save his life in New York.
And I get that because
we had recently that we sent to Oakland, we thought was going to be great. Or we got him from Oakland, and he's in Cincinnati now.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be a stud number 2.
I can't remember his name now.
And he came to the Yankees and just forgot how to pitch.
Yeah, and I get that because playing sports in New York, especially New York City, it's a very different thing.
Different animal.
As New York fans, and I know this as a New York fan, is we put a lot of pressure on the players. Oh, yeah. We expect, especially with the Yankees, we expect results. We expect championships. You think of how many championships that we've won. It's insane. And that's what we expect year in and year out. Exactly. We expect that year in, year out, but when we don't get it, we give you a hard time because you're not producing.
Respect excellence.
Exactly. Respect excellence.
So I gotta say, I don't really worry about the Yankees right now. I don't worry about anything. If they're above 500 at the All-Star break by like
they'll be good
10 games, I don't worry about it because the Yankees, they'll figure it out. They have so much talent. They have a good coach. They have a good GM that knows the team.
Exactly.
I don't worry about it. Baseball is such a long season to freak out about.
It is. If you have a bad month in baseball, you can come back from it.
Oh, easily.
And that's playing baseball, and playing baseball too. Like if you start rough, you can come back from that. It's how you finish the season, not how you start the season.
Finish strong than start out strong. And the Yankees have a history of starting out strong and finishing kind of weak, kind of coasting to the end.
Exactly.
And so I'd almost rather start out really slow and then kind of get into our groove come second half of the season, right, rolling into the playoffs. So I'm not worried.
No, I'm not, and I think they're going to do well. And they're playing better as a team now, which I think is important. Is there's more than 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that are all producing. Yeah. Is they're all starting to produce and they're starting to all step up.
Agree.
Which is what they need to do. That baseball is not one person game. It's not a 1-person, 2-person game anymore. It's all 9 guys in the field.
It's all analytic too. It's all being smart.
Yeah,
like doing the best percentage plays to win.
Exactly.
All right, you want to shift to hockey?
Let's do it because Stanley Cup is coming
soon.
Slowly but surely, it is coming
soon. And I know we both think different teams are going to win.
Yeah, Zach and I did talk about this a couple weeks ago.
I'm steadfast. I called this team last year in the postseason, and they won the Stanley Cup, and I'm 100% convinced they're going to win it again.
So what are you calling? You calling repeat?
I'm calling repeat. Yeah, Tampa's just too good.
Okay.
And I'm going to make my case for Tampa, right?
Let's hear it.
Homegrown talent. Braden Point, Kucherov, Stamkos. They have talent everywhere.
Yes, they do. They have a good team.
They had a little bit of a salary cap issue, which I kind of think that they kind of skirted illegally, but it's not technically illegal. But they put Kucherov on long-term IR, so they were able to fit everyone under. And so basically they're getting one of the top 10 players in the game back come postseason run. They have a very rounded offense, top to bottom. Anyone can beat you. They have one of the best defenses in the game in terms of like just playing team defense, how they're run. And one of the most important things to winning a Stanley Cup, and every Stanley Cup team, almost every Stanley Cup team has this, is you have to have like a top 5 to 10 goalie. And their goalie is probably like top 3. Vasilevsky is one of the best goalies in the game. And I think come postseason time, they have experience. They're all pretty young still. They kept the same team that they had last year, except for a couple of their players I think are taking kind of a step forward. And I think they're going to repeat and surprise everyone.
Fair point. I like it.
That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, and
you think a different team.
I pick a little bit of a different team, and it's not really always. My pick isn't really necessarily like because of any deep analytical issue. Here with Zach, I'm kind of bandwagoning this because I know my team of the Rangers, they'll do okay, but I don't think they're gonna win Stanley Cup.
Okay. Who do you think's gonna win?
I'm kind of siding with the Colorado Avalanche.
It's a good team. The Avalanche have been one of those teams that like everyone's waiting for them to take that next step because they're so absolutely loaded. They're not paying anyone. Like all their players are on ridiculously good contracts.
Yeah.
They have so much young talent coming up that if you told me pick a team for the next 10 years that's going to make 5 Stanley Cups, it would be Colorado.
Yeah, and they have a young team that can perform.
My only
issue actually put together a score.
I don't know about their goalie situation. That's it. Yeah. Everything else on that team is
they'll put up the points, but can they stop the points? That's the question.
They have
and when it comes down to the stretch in the playoffs, in the Stanley Cup, you gotta make saves.
So I don't know. I mean, I think that's a great unknown. If they got really hot, I could see them beating anyone in the game. It's just, are their goalies going to come ready to play? That's my only.
That's the issue. And I'm even looking at stuff right now, just trying to be like, I don't know, because it's a toss up for me. Like I think they can do well, but I think it might be them. I don't know,
dude. I'm still on the Tampa Bay train, man. I watched them play last postseason, like first round.
I'm not saying they're not good. They're good.
It's just like this is the team, and not only that, Tampa Bay they know how to win. All those players have been to Stanley Cups before.
Yeah,
they just have that like we've been here before.
They have the attitude of winners, which is good.
And
which you need to have, and especially in hockey, you need to have a little bit of swagger when you get on the ice, and they definitely have it. If
I'm not wrong, I think they won the Stanley Cup last year without their second best player being on the ice. Steven Stamkos was out all postseason. I don't think he even came back for the Stanley Cup, and they won. Yeah. And if you're telling me that they're going to be the same team, like same roster, same everything, but you get Steven Stamkos back for the Stanley Cup,
exactly.
I'm sorry, I'm not betting against them.
I mean, it would be cool if it was Avalanche versus, Tampa Bay, but
I guess we'll see.
And then we could duke it out and see what happens.
That would be, yeah.
That would be absolutely pretty cool if that happened.
That would be wild.
No, I agree with you there. Like, it should be interesting because I know when is the Stanley Cup? It's soon, isn't it?
A
couple weeks, isn't it? I'm looking up right now. Me as I'm over here typing.
It's a weird year.
It is.
Because they have the division.
Okay, so Stanley Cup will begin.
Honestly, I don't know how that's going to work because they have the North, East, Central, and West. So I think that it's divisions play each other, but I don't know.
Right.
Broken up into like.
I know that they're saying the Stanley Cup playoffs will begin on May 11th, which is 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it's supposed to end July 9th.
Okay. It's
so weird. That's like 2 months.
Wow. I would say we're probably looking at like end of June Stanley Cup because it usually runs for like 2 weeks.
Right.
They go back to back.
Because it's not like baseball where you can kind of play a day and then play the next day. No, you need time off. It's a rough sport. You need
protocols and everything and the traveling. Yeah. I don't know if they're going to all do it in like the same spot like the NBA did where they sent all the teams to like a bubble. Right. Or if they're going to be like, okay, we pick different cities that you're going to be in. It's very up in the air.
And they might go by region this year. I'm not really sure. I didn't look into any of that. And they might say like the East,
in their division.
The East is going to play in New York. The Central is going to play in Chicago. I don't know. They might do something like that.
Playing in New York just because the COVID's so bad there.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Just like picking a random city.
I get what you're saying. Picking cities, but I think it's going to be fun. We're definitely going to touch more on this as we go along. Yeah. And as we see the teams, we'll talk more about it and further,
once we know exactly who's in playoffs and such, like
if anyone has any teams that they think and any compelling arguments, drop it down below. We'd love to talk about it. Kind of
always up for new ideas.
So, but yeah, I think that's good for today, Brian. You ready to sign off?
Let's do it. Sounds good.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Episode 2 of Talk Much Podcast. This should be up on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, I think.
Right.
And then the YouTube video. So if you haven't given us a follow on any of those, please do. Give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, Talk Much Podcast. Yep. Follow Brian on Twitch. You want to throw out your Twitch again?
It is twitch.tv/DankestFlyer.
And any questions you have for the podcast, you can always drop in the Twitch chat. And Brian
for sure. Yeah. And I always have a running thing if you jump in the Twitch. And I have a running command that will keep running. It is !Talk Much.
And this episode should be live this Wednesday, which is, so I'm prepared, sorry. This Wednesday is the 28th. April 28th, this episode should go live. I know we were trying to stay on the every other Wednesday schedule, but the first one we had a little bit of an issue because of approval from different platforms. It took longer than others. And so we should be all set though. From now on, it should be every other Wednesday. Expect a new episode. Try and keep it around a half an hour long. And in the future, we're looking to have some guests and some fun stuff and do some cool stuff for everyone. So thanks for joining us. Any other thoughts, Brian?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Catch you guys
Let's
later.
do it. See you guys.